Good morning everyone. Our group are going to present the topic about inflation and cost of living, which is rising energy prices due to the United States-Iran conflict may increase inflation and the cost of living in Malaysia from 2021 to 2025. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Shirley Hitingling and my matrix number is 299350. I will start my present to talk about introduction for this topic. The conflict between the United States and Iran has created uncertainty in the global oil market. As Iran is a major oil producing country, any political tension may disrupt oil supply and increase energy prices. Although Malaysia is an oil-producing country, it is still affected by global oil price fluctuation. Higher energy costs can increase transportation, logistics, and production expenses, which may contribute to inflation and a higher cost of living, especially for lower and middle-income households. Therefore, the report examines the impact of rising energy prices due to the US-Iran conflict on inflation and the cost of living in Malaysia from 2021 to 2025.
Good morning, my name is Songke Yi, number matrix 304683. Next, I will go through the literature review of our segment. I divided the literature review for the several parts. First, economy theory. For a perspective theory curve, the US-Iraq conflict case is involved the cost-push inflation theory, which explains that rising energy price increase the production costs, where are then passed to consumer as higher price for the good and service. At the same time, also involve the real income effect theory, which show that price rise faster than wage and households purchasing power decline. Others than that also involve the supply and demand theory, which explains that oil supply disrupt in where the oil is in elastic demand will cause the larger price increase. Next, the second part of the literature review is previous study finding, which to support this topic. According to the Bank Negara Malaysia in 2025, global energy price fluctuation directly contribute to Malaysia inflationary pressure and rising living costs. For example, subsidy policies on diesel reform in 2024, which increased the price from 2 ringgit 50 cents per litre to 3 ringgit 35 cents per litre. Besides, Malay Mail in 2025 also report that the food and beverage price increased by 17.5% from 2020 to 2025, while the private sector wage rose only 7.9%. And the last path that I mentioned in the literature review is Malaysia-related studies, which explain that Malaysia is an open economy and net importer since 2020, so highly exposed to the global energy price shock. So when the importer inflation happens, the food subsidy spending surges, so cause the fiscal pressure on government that cause the government reduce the government spending, and especially for the lower income groups more affected by the rising living costs.
Good morning, my name is Lee Xing Yi, matrix number 304658. I will explain about the economic impact of rising energy price on Malaysia. To begin with, the conflict between the United States and Iran has created uncertainty in global energy market. As a result, global oil and gas price may increase. Consequently, Malaysia may face higher transportation, production, and utility costs. Firstly, rising energy price contribute to a higher inflation. When fuel and electricity price increase, business need to spend more on transportation, logistics, and daily operation. Therefore, the cost of producing goods and services are also rise. As a result, business often pass this additional cost on the consumer to a higher price. This situation is known as cost-push inflation. Secondly, higher inflation will lead to a higher cost of living. In other words, households need to spend more money on essential items such as food and fuel. Even though their income may remain unchanged, purchasing power will decrease because consumers can afford fewer goods and services compared to before. Furthermore, low-income households are the most affected. This is because a larger proportion of their income is spent on basic necessities. Consequently, they have less money available for savings and non-essential spending. As a result, financial pressure will increase and their standard of living may decline. In addition, business, especially SMEs, also face significant challenges. Due to higher energy costs, operating expenses will increase while profit margin will decrease. Therefore, some business may be forced to raise their price, reduce operation, or postpone their expansion plans. That's all for me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, and a very good day to everyone. Next, public finance analysis. In recent years, the geopolitical conflict has spread uncertainty in global oil market. Since oil is important for transportation, manufacturing, plastic, and many daily products, so the higher oil price can increase the production cost, leading to inflation and higher cost of living in Malaysia. Based on the past energy shock, Malaysia government budget increased from 322.5 billion in 2021 to 421 billion in 2025, showing government spending increase to reduce the financial burden on citizens. The past CPI data also show that the transportation and food prices are sensitive to energy costs. Therefore, if US-Iran conflict push the oil price higher, the similar subsidy support may be needed to control the living costs. Normally, the government spending increase will create the pressure on the fiscal deficits. However, the past data show that Malaysia deficits improved from -6.4% to -3.8%. Therefore, in the case of US-Iran conflict, the impact on Malaysia deficits may be balanced because Malaysia also an export oil country. The oil price also affect the government revenue. The higher profit from the energy company may contribute more to the tax income. The government also can use the tax policy to increase revenue while protect the lower income group from the higher living costs. Overall, the 2021 to 2025 data is not mainly caused by the US-Iran conflict, but it shows how Malaysia responded to the previous global energy shock. Therefore, a similar impact may happen if US-Iran tension increase the oil price.
Assalamualaikum and very good day everyone. My name is Nur Izzah Shaira. My metric number 29X733. I will present our topic, policy recommendation to address rising energy prices and inflation in Malaysia from 2021 to 2025. First, targeted subsidies and price control. The government should continue fuel subsidy for lower income households, such as the Budi Banani program. At the same time, temporary price ceilings or essentials like cooking oil at RM2.50 per kilogram and rice at RM2.60 per kilogram can help preserve purchasing power and protect consumers during periods of global uncertainty. Second, energy diversification and renewables. Malaysia must reduce reliance on imported fossil fuels. The National Energy Transition Roadmap sets a target of 31% renewables energy by 2025 and 70% by 2050. To achieve this, Malaysia should invest in solar, hydro, and biomass energy, while also promoting electric vehicles and expanding public transport. These measures cut fuel use, lower commuting costs, and strengthen long-term energy security. Third, wage growth to protect households' welfare. Malaysia's minimum wage of RM1,700 in 2025 is far below the living wage of RM2,700 in Kuala Lumpur. Raising the minimum wage to RM3,000 by 2030 will help households cope with inflation, improve resilience, and support economic growth. So, by combining subsidy and price control, renewable energy development, and wage growth creates an integrated strategy. This approach protects households, stabilizes the economy, and ensures sustainable development in the face of global energy volatility.
In conclusion, the US-Iran conflict contributed to global energy price volatility and indirectly affected Malaysia's economy. Higher energy prices increase transportation, logistics, and food costs, which lead to inflation and a higher cost of living. As a result, household purchasing power declined, especially among B40 and M40 income groups. To reduce this impact, the Malaysian government implemented measures such as fuel subsidy, Sumbangan Tunai Rahmah (STR), and price control. However, maintaining these measures over the long term may increase fiscal pressure. Therefore, balanced policies are important to support households while ensuring sustainable economic growth. That's all from us. Thank you.